breaking a habit is a good subject. What do you think? A bad habit, I should say. Breaking a bad habit. I know that you've got some habits that are pretty heavy duty, like smoking. I know you gave up smoking and it was really difficult for you. And clearly,
the most difficult thing to quit was smoking.
Well, you know, when we talk so much about health, we have to, you know, talk about how, yeah, we used to have bad habits. Thank God we let them go. Well, we have found that one of the good things to do is to, when you're trying to break a habit, it's so difficult, right?
Frank, actually, smoking is an addiction.
It's actually an addiction. It's not just a habit.
Habits are a little bit different than an addiction. They're a lot easier to break.
Good point. You know what?
Than an addiction.
That is an excellent point. I appreciate that very much. Addiction and habit. Although there's a whole lot of habit in addiction.
Well, that's true.
So yeah, let's just stick with habit because addiction is so deep. It's so much. There's so much to that. Say, for example, like Americans, they love to eat their steak and potato. That's a habit. It's
Brandon had last night for dinner.
Of course, and he's sick today. Now, shh. We don't want to make a big deal about this because, you know,
He was sick yesterday.
they're adults, right? I don't want to say too much, right? You sit there and do the American thing, eat steak and potato, it becomes a habit, right? It's like, what do you mean? That's the good thing to do, right? No, that's just a habit. It's a universal habit. We see the Ecuadorians, they eat rice and chicken, or rice and pork. So basically, they're eating a starch and a meat too. And I think all of this comes down to habit. But anyhow, we talk about all that stuff in the Better Health, Better Life book. It's all about having energy as you age. When you get older, having energy is important because when you're tired, you don't do anything. Oh, and hey, that brings me to this. When you move abroad, it's not all about diet. Diet's a big part. But there's other factors, as we said in the last video. Your environment. Take a look at the picture, and do you see anything? Do you notice anything in this picture? I don't know, where do we start? It's like the elevation is part of your your environment. When we first got here, I noticed some subtle things. Well, of course, when you first get here, you notice, like when you exert yourself. When you say exert, I'm not talking about sprinting or anything. Say you exert yourself, I was just walking up steps or whatever. Even just getting up out of a chair made you dizzy. Some people might be from Colorado, they're used to elevation. I've always been at sea level. I was born and raised at sea level and lived all my life at sea level. I've never lived in the mountains. I think it's important to state that I've never lived at elevation. So if there's other people that are listeners and watchers that have never lived at elevation, it's going to affect you stronger. For me, it took me at least a couple of months to stop getting dizzy. I acclimated to that, right? I noticed something that I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to. It's interesting because it's like when you buy a new car, you drive it around for a year or two, and the car just operates super well and functions properly, and that's how my health was before coming here. But then you start noticing a little sound, right? First, it's like when you first put the keys in and turn them, there's a little hesitation. Don't ignore that. Don't ignore that. It does mean something. It means that your battery cables might have acid on them, or your battery might be low, your alternator might not be turning. Make it a lot of things. So and this guy's saying, what's all the ruckus about? Us naturalists, we become in tune with our bodies and we have to pay attention to symptoms. Because we're in good shape and healthy almost all the time, we don't get any symptoms. So that when we do get a symptom, we listen to it very carefully and we try to figure out, okay, what's going on here? This is a no-no. They got all these no-nos around here. Sad, isn't it? Actually, it's not sad because I'm talking about symptoms, and I noticed after I got acclimated that I started waking up earlier, much earlier than I was before in the States. Say I was waking up at 6:30. Hola, ¿cómo está? And people say good morning. When I came here, I started waking up at like 5 a.m. 5:30, which is like a whole hour earlier. I didn't pay a lot of attention to it because I thought, well, I don't know, I'm getting older, maybe that's, I don't know, people say you get older, you don't need as much sleep, but at first it manifested itself waking up earlier. Then we went through a period where we were waking up a couple times a week in the middle of the night around 2 a.m., 3 a.m. because we were hearing noises. Okay, but then we installed alarms, sensors and alarms and lights, sensor lights, the alarms going off, prowlers. So my body started getting acclimated to getting woke up. Okay, so the bottom line is that nowadays I've been waking up at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning and my body won't go back to sleep.
I'm going to try some Louisa tea to see if it'll help me sleep through the night. I've got a terrible chronic insomnia issue with this altitude.
Here's what's happening, okay? Elevation makes you breathe harder for oxygen. And what we've discovered is when your lungs are working harder, you're excreting more water. And where does the water go? It goes in your bladder and you gotta pee more. I've talked to other expats having the same thing, so it's not unique to me. Yeah, you end up having to get up in the middle of the night several times more than before. And of course that just wakes you up. And so you wake up, you have to go to the restroom in the middle of the night, and then you can't sleep. I had other expats tell me this. They were having the same problem. They moved to the coast. We haven't moved to the coast. So we're still here, so it's still happening. So we're still suffering this thing after 5 years of chronic sleep deprivation. If you are a long-time follower, you may have picked up little hints here and there where I mentioned sleep deprivation. There was a long-time article where I got pickpocketed. It was because of sleep deprivation. You know, when you don't get your rest, you wander around like a zombie, you're not paying attention and you make mistakes. That's why I got pickpocketed. If I get my sleep, I'm sharp, I don't make mistakes. So anyhow, we got this chronic sleep deprivation going on, and that's what the photo's all about. Take a look at that. When I go to the coast, that's what I look like over there on the left. This is what I look like when I get back down to a sea level because I'm getting my sleep. I'm sleeping at night, I'm not waking up and not being able to sleep. I get my full 7.5 to 8 hours, sometimes more. When I get down here, I'm lucky to get 6.5 hours most of the time when I'm sleeping. Maybe 6.5, yeah, sometimes 7. But half the time, I'm not even getting that. I'm waking up at 2:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. So, and this goes on every single week in, week out. One of the reasons we went to the coast this last time. Usually we go to the coast because of the smog and such, because we want some sunshine, because it's so gray here. But this time we had to add sleep deprivation to it. It was getting so bad. It was almost an emergency. I had to go to the coast just to get some sleep. And you'll be able to see in some of these videos when I'm in Cuenca where I just look so much more ragged and tired and older. And then when I get to the coast, Angie says I look 20 years younger. I was thinking, that was yesterday. I got all sunned out. I thought, okay, well, let's sit here and act like tourists today. I told the taxi driver to come back to pick us up in an hour because there's no taxis out here. But I've been doing some experimenting and it seems to work. It's nutritional, but I'm going to put more details in the Better Health, Better Life book. This week I only woke up one night at 2:30 in the morning for the day, you know, and didn't sleep anymore. Only one time this week so far. So this new thing I'm doing nutritionally, it seems to be working. While the lemongrass seems to work, unfortunately it makes me even more tired when I wake up in the morning. So it did seem to work for the short time I used it, but honestly I don't like it. I don't prefer it, and I don't like waking up tired.
Look at that, there's even a name for it. Altitude insomnia. Looks like it's well covered.
Like I say, I'm just trying to sleep through the night, you know, so I'm trying to figure out how to slow down my metabolism enough to sleep through the night but not have any other side effects.
Well, we know that you sleep through the night every single time we go to the beach, every time. And when we went to Panama, you did too. You slept through the night.
But you have to move to the beach to be able to do that, okay? So we're in Cuenca?
Yeah, let's move to the beach.
All I want to do is sleep. Is that too much to ask? I just want to sleep. Thanks for listening to all this.